Hello and welcome to my garden. It's normally private. I don't normally sort of have people in here, but as it's such a lovely day and as it's you, I thought you might like to look round. Welcome. If there is an entrance to the garden, I suppose this is it. It's referred to as the cherub pond or the dolphin pond. It's a round lawn with a round pond in the middle with, well, it's a copy of Verrocchio's Boy with a Dolphin in the centre to remind me that when I was at Kew, I used to clip the box in the Queen's Garden where this statue sat over a pond. I didn't nick it, this is a cheap copy, but this whole garden here with the clipped flagons or decanters of yew at the end is blue and white. Blue delphiniums in June, July, and now as we're getting later on in the summer, white Annabelle hydrangeas. It's a sort of willow pattern kind of feel to it really. And although it's formal, for me it makes a sort of imposing entrance which then leads on to the rest of the garden. I love axes in a garden, paths that cross or lead your eye. And this one runs right in front of the house, down to a little metal arbour that was at Barley Wood, brought it with me, and a chair in it, and a good long view. I like gardens that are made up of garden rooms, but I didn't want one. I wanted areas that led you on from one to another without the physical barrier of a hedge between. And this gives me a chance to show off my love of topiary, cones and orbs and bits of topiary, mainly box, but also quite a lot of yew. These are yew lollipops in gigantic pots. And the wonderful thing about topiary, when it's evergreen, is that it's still there, giving your garden form in winter. This rill is the latest addition, the latest extravagance, if you like. When I first made this part of the garden here, where these little yew trees are, these cones, I had Pyrus chanticleer, which is a fairly narrow growing pear. But they got bigger and bigger and I couldn't keep them small enough. We eventually started to get too much shade, lost views, so I took them out and then had a think. And there's a natural slope here, and I've always fancied a rill. So I've got a little round pond at the top, a square one in the middle, square one at the bottom, and they all link with these axes that grow across, going back to my axes. And alongside them, borders filled with flowers. This is a garden, not just a piece of sculpture and hard landscaping, so the lines are strong and firm, but within the borders, billowing banks of flowers and shrubs. It's a lovely place to be, you know. It's very easy to overplant a garden, to make it too fussy and to, I'll just do another bit here and another bit there, because you want to feel, because gardens always are, developing. It's always work in progress, but you've got to know when to leave space. A composer famously said that the most important thing about music is the silences. And in a garden, you need space. We've got this one large lawn. We call it the croquet lawn. We have a croquet set. We don't really know how to play, and it comes out about every other year. But I just like the peace, the breath, if you like, that an area of lawn gives you. This garden is totally organic, so you'll see clover in here and little weeds. I use a daisy grubber to get out daisies and plantains, but other than that, this is a lawn you can have just by feeding it with blood, bone and fish meal. No weed killer, because it's a garden which, as much as anything, is for wildlife. My borders are always edged with good, solid, hard lines. Here, straight ones, up there curving. But within the borders, I like what you might call billowing generosity, a mixture of old-fashioned shrub roses here. There's a purple elder at the back with a golden hop growing over it. One or two shrubs dotted in among, but basically border perennials plus dahlias. And that whole mix means I get colour here from April right the way through to November. You know, if it's one of those borders where you think, well, frankly, by August it's all burnt and gone and done. Oh, I've still got a good deal of the summer I want to enjoy. And that way, by having things like echinacea and the achilles, it's a classic Christopher Lloyd, I suppose, mixed border, and I love a bit of colour. Gardens are about dreams, and I'd always dreamed of having a wildlife pond, and we're lucky enough to have a bit of space here, so I dug one. We got in a mini digger and took out this pond, which is what, I suppose about 20 yards by 30 yards, with about a third of the water area covered with water lily, a duck house in which moorhens bring off about 3 broods every year, and a little rowing boat that I can pootle around with the grandchildren. It's surrounded by mainly British native water plants. There's a little bit of gunner in there just for amusement. But what I want this area to do, as well as being a home to wildlife, and we have roach in here, fish, which came from nowhere, is to gradually fray into the countryside. The garden's being left behind now, and we're edging out towards the wildflower meadow and the further countryside. And it's all about a journey from cultivation to nature. When we first came here 17 years ago, we had just 2 acres, but I thought, oh, if I had a bit more, I could make a wildflower meadow. So I'm surrounded by farmland. I managed to buy 2 more acres of not organic, but proper farmland. And they always say, make wildflower meadows on poor soil, scrape off the topsoil. 2 acres, scrape off the topsoil. So I didn't. It was ploughed, it was harrowed, I planted a hedge, and then I sowed a chalk downland wildflower mix, because we're on chalk downland here, with a bucket on my own, right across 2 acres. And that is about 10 years ago now. Now we have the most wonderful wildflower meadow that begins in March, April with cowslips, goes all the way through marguerites, moon daisies, to this far end of the summer now, where it's purple with marjoram, it has blue scabious and wild carrot growing in it. And in another couple of weeks' time, beginning of September, we'll cut it all down, take it all off, and that's the only cultivation it gets apart from mowing these rides. It is awash with bees, insect life, and butterflies, and I love it. I always remember the dictum of William Morris when it comes to greenhouses. For me, they need to be both beautiful and useful. And I think this is a glorious looking greenhouse, very Victorian looking, but it's actually made of powder coated alloy, which means you get all the prettiness of a wooden Victorian greenhouse, but none of the maintenance. We power wash this once a year, and it's, well, this is about 15 years old now, and it looks brand new, doesn't it? Inside it, I've always grown the same sort of things in my greenhouse. The odd tomato, of course, and cucumber, which has now gone out, but pelargoniums for colour almost right the way through the year. And I've learned to love succulents like these aeoniums. And it's just where I come and potter, where we sow seeds in spring and take cuttings. It is the boiler room of the garden, if you like, but I think a particularly beautiful one. When we came here 17 years ago, this was pretty much a blank canvas, apart from a massive yew tree and that chestnut there, the conker. And this for me was a chance to make a garden for me, for the family. I'd had film crews in the garden for the past 20 odd years, and it's been a pleasure. It's always nice to share things, as I am doing today. But I did say to my wife and daughters, okay, this one's for us. I can do here exactly what I want to do, lay it out how I want to grow the plants I want to grow for me. And that's exactly what I've done. But gardens are for sharing. So it is nice to share it with family and friends. And it's lovely today to share it with you. Not to show off, but to share the passion, the joy and the spiritual uplift that plants and flowers can give all of us. I don't believe so much in legacies in gardening, except when you plant a tree, you hope it's going to be there for a good long time after you've gone. But if by having a garden like this, I can inspire my own family and my grandchildren with a love of the great outdoors and a love of things that grow and a love of beauty, then this garden and me, well, I've done my bit.